This is my AT Media evaluation question for what have I learned from my audience feedback. I decided to use the footage from two of my audience feedbacks in the background, just so you know, that what sort of feedback I did get. So throughout all of the projects, I have relied on audience feedback to help me inspire my products and improve them. I've used video focus groups and a different range of surveys. I've also done verbal feedback, which some of it I haven't taken down, but some of it I've written up myself after they've told me what they think I should do. I've responded to the different stages of audience feedback, and this is what I'm going to do now. So firstly, I used surveys during my planning and research, and this is useful because I wanted to understand the ways that music videos do influence people, and if they're more interested in narrative rather than they are the lyrics of the song. I found that most people were actually interested in the narrative in the music video rather than listening to the lyrics of the song. However, depending on the emotional state of themselves and the emotional state of the music, they might have listened to the lyrics more. So therefore, even though this is more of an emotional song that I chose to do, I decided to go against putting lyrics in the song, simply because I thought I wanted to express immersion rather through props and sounds and editing. From my audience feedback, I've learned a lot. Things such as people do believe it aims at the right target group. So most people did say to me that they believe it is aiming at age 16 plus, which is exactly what I wanted to portray when I was creating my piece. Within my blog post, I did obviously post some of my audience feedback, which I gained from social media. So as you can see in the video at this moment in time, I am asking them a few questions, this video is on YouTube, so you can watch their feedback. So as I was saying, from social media, I decided to post it online. I posted it on Facebook. So my first one was my magazine advertisement. And I had various comments, all very positive. I had very upmarket and modern with an artistic twist. Love it. Love it, very modern and dramatic. I really like these. I think they look professional and follow conventions well. I even had very trippy, and I'm guessing that was what was you going for due to the drugs. I had very trippy, which is guess what you was going for. A very strong image. And then upon my digipack, I had a former friend from Australia, and he is actually in a band and he does singing, so it was good to get a point of view from an artist. He said, I will inbox you some feedback, you've done an amazing job. And what someone else said, love the black and white, it's dramatic, upmarket looking, good job. So as I said, my friend did actually message me some of the audience feedback that he suggested. He did have a bit of more of a critical view on it rather than what some people, like an average audience, would have, just simply because he's from that industry. So basically, he did tell me that he really liked the black and white. He said that he only found on the digipack disc 1 and 2 slightly distracting, as it sort of takes away the image in the background of the snake rather than giving that as the main focus. So he said, I own a lot of the CDs, so I'll just have a look. He just said he thinks it's a little too lined central, and maybe put the text like left or right with the labels information, like the label logo. So I do reply and I said thank you very much for your feedback. I just said that basically the reason I put it central is due to my feedback and not due to my feedback, due to some research that I'd done, and I found that on most CDs, disc 1 and 2 is central. So he said to maybe make it italic, take off the italic, make it less stand out, and make it a different style of the labelling text. And he said it's just simply because you don't really want people to notice that, you want them to notice your main image, which is totally fair. Due to the timescale that I was on, I couldn't change that, change most of his feedback, like changing the edits upon my digipack because it had taken too long. But if I was to do it later on, then I probably would change it and obviously move it along and change how it looks. So from some of my other feedback, as you can see at the moment in the video, I did do some surveys. So some of them said that I asked what do you like most about the digipack, and I got consistency, style, and the images used. A lot of people do say everybody said that it looks like a real digipack, and lots of people said that they wouldn't improve it. So when I did ask about would you say it's the conventions of the back cover with the CD album, and most people said yes, and some people said they wouldn't change it. I asked about the colour schemes and if the images work well. So it works really well together and the images are unique and stands out. So from another person, what do you like most about my digipack? I like the design of the Smurf, and it's very consistent. This person thought it looked like a real digipack and wouldn't improve it. They also said that they think it fits the convention of a back cover of an album and a front. Just a quick reminder, the images that you are seeing on the screen are the ones I'm reading from, but not in the specific order that you're seeing them. So somebody said that they like the black and white theme, which I quite liked because I wanted to keep it quite tonal. They also said that they like how it goes with the conscious of bad versus evil, and the front and the back cover also work very well. So as from my research before, when I was doing, obviously looking at forms and conventions, I did look at a lot of different digipacks and CDs. And so I did choose to do black and white over the fact of colour, which I thought worked for myself. So when looking at theorists as well, I found that there was different theorists that might match my actual digipack. Some of the theorists that I looked at as things like Laura Mulvey, and I have said this in one of my other evaluations. However, that is very more objectifying a woman, making them more of a sexual object, which is something I wanted to avoid, so therefore I went against that and went a completely different way from that. So other things such as Jason Mitchell, he argues that genres and cultural categories that suppress the boundaries of media text and operate within the industry's audience and cultural practices as well. So basically, in short, this means that industries use genre to sell products to audiences, edit producers, but we're using familiar codes and conventions, which is what I've done. So basically, I'm following Jason Mitchell's theory, where I have basically used a genre, so I've used pop/electro to sell my product. So I've used the conventions and forms of like other editors and producers in order to make this recognisable to my audience. This is something that was clear and conventional to my audience. They understood that I was using conventions of other music videos. Another theorist I have looked at is Tim O'Sullivan. He argues that all media texts tell us some sort of story. Through careful mediation, media texts offer a way of telling stories about ourselves, not usually our own personal stories, but a story for us as a culture or a set of cultures. This is something that is quite key to my actual piece, because mine is set on like personal issues within our culture, as in drug use and drug abuse. It's based on some research I did previously about legal highs and drug use that are illegal drugs. So therefore, it is telling some form of story. My piece is this is under the narrative theory, and this basically helps the audience to understand the narrative that I'm trying to portray to them, helping to gain a message and put across the message that drugs are wrong. And it's quite a social issue that a lot of my target audience will be aware of or understand, and some may have even been involved or know somebody who is involved in that sort of thing. The next set of audience feedback isn't shown on the screen, however I have scanned them in and they're on my blog. So I just asked, after watching my music video, could you please fill out the following questionnaire as part of my audience feedback. So I asked them if they were whether it was male or female and how old they were. And so the first person I asked, she was a female aged 18 and she did enjoy my music video. I asked if it looked professional and she said yes. On a scale of 1 to 5, where 5 is the most realistic, how realistic would you say the piece was? She said that it was 4. Is there anything you would change? If so, please state. She said that no, there was nothing I would change, as I enjoyed what I saw. I asked if this song matches the narrative and she said yes, totally. What genre would you put it under? Pop. And what would you personally say the narrative or the storyline is for the piece? She said a male under the influence of drugs, suffering emotional distress. And I asked the final question, if I told you that the male was struggling with loneliness and drug abuse, would that change your perspective on the video? She said no. The next person is a male, and they are 17 years old. I asked if they enjoyed the music video, they said yes, and if it looked professional, yes. On the scale of 1 to 5, how realistic it looked, it was 5. And is there anything that they would change? No. Do you think that the song matches the narrative? Yes. And what genre would you put it under? Pop? No. So I asked, what would you personally say that the narrative of the storyline of the piece is? So this is a 50-50 probably version on a narrative. This doesn't really make sense. I don't think they personally understood the question, which is why I haven't really included this when I've discussed my piece. I asked if I told you that it was based on a male struggling with loneliness, drug abuse, would you change your perspective on the video? And they said no, as you can see this from the form of the video. Next person is a male again, age 17. They enjoyed the music video and they thought it was professional. They said it was realistic on a scale of 4 out of 5. Is there anything that you changed? They said no. Do you think that the song matches the narrative? Yes. Under pop, they believe it's the narrative and storyline is a guy taking drugs and is lonely. I said if I told you my storyline, they said no. So the next person is female, 18. They thought the music video was professional and they enjoyed it. So it was realistic on a scale of 5. And I asked if there was anything that changed. And they said that this stay fully black and white. However, I didn't take on this feedback to change my video simply because my video is black and white and then it goes into colour to show that he's coming back into real time when he's off the drugs. So the black and white is making him feel like he's stuck in the past, he's stuck in memories, he's stuck in emotions. Whereas the colour comes back in when he passes away, when he's back into real life, back into real time. So they said, do you feel the song matches the narrative? They said yes, and they didn't know what genre to put it under, which is quite disappointing because everyone else did put it under pop, but I can understand that some people do not understand genre and which genres that songs certainly fall into. So I asked them personally what they think the narrative is, and they said drug, drink, depression, overdose and dying, which was quite simplistic, but it was pretty much exactly what I was going for, so they wouldn't change anything, it wouldn't change the perspective when I told them the narrative. So the next person that I asked is another female, and she said that she was 18, she enjoyed the music video, she thought it looked professional and she gave it a 5 out of 5. She said there was nothing she would change and she enjoyed the narrative and she enjoyed the whole video as a whole. She said that the genre was under pop and she said that personally she thought the narrative was really strong. She said that it's based on drugs and you could see a clear message that is to avoid taking drugs. You can see that the male is going through an emotional stage and that he needs help, but he's not gaining it because he's too busy taking drugs and too distracted by other things around him. So this was really good because it was something I was aiming to improve, imply to my audience, and not of them understood this. So therefore I feel that my narrative in my music video was really strong, and I think that everyone understands what I was aiming for. And therefore I feel like I filled forms and conventions, and I've also gained some positive audience feedback. Overall, from my audience feedback, I found that people found a positive view upon my pieces. I found that all of them think that all three of my media texts cohere well together, and that the message of my music video is portrayed really well because everyone seemed to understand it. They think that my magazine advertisement is really good. However, personally, even though nobody pointed it out initially until I mentioned it, I think that using the yellow upon my magazine advert should be cohered and linked into my digipack, so maybe put something like the titles in yellow. However, due to timescale, I cannot do that at this moment in time, but that is an improvement I would make if I could do that. Most people said that they like the front and the back cover of my product, and they think that they look like a real media text, which is really good because it's what I was aiming for. My music video cohered with my media text, such as the front cover of my album, as there is the topless shots and back shots in my music video. The only problem is I haven't used an actual image of my artist upon my magazine advertisement, which is something I wish I had done, and maybe I would change that if I was to have more time and a bit bigger time scale to do this.